And we have Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, shredding the New York Times as he responds to their motion to dismiss.
Can you say with certainty that your client did not harass her?
I can say that with certainty that my client is one of the most honorable people I've ever met, that without question, he did not. Justin has been destroyed by this. The company, the individuals at the company, this is a really serious thing.
So there he says it may only be done in a courtroom. Now, if you're Brian Friedman, there's no way you're going to show your cards if you would settle for a certain price. So he's saying we're taking this thing all the way, baby, and that's how you play chicken. That's how you play. He goes straight for the jugular.
You're about to see the biggest courtroom disaster of the year. Blake Lively just lost her temper after her own lawyer showed shocking evidence that no one expected. She walked in thinking she would easily win, but instead, her own team turned against her. The courtroom filled with shocked whispers, worried looks, and complete chaos as the truth came out for everyone to see.
Also, they talk about the rogue PR agent, Steph Jones, who once, was done doing business with Wayfair, may have coordinated with Blake Lively in the New York Times business.
This time, she couldn't use her Hollywood fame to protect herself. The shocking evidence completely destroyed her reputation. Now, she's angrily going after anyone who questions her. Witnesses say she was furious, more than anyone had ever seen. And this is just the start. There's no way out for Blake Lively, and this could be the moment her career begins to fall apart. Stay tuned as we break down every shocking detail of her courtroom disaster.
When you look at the harassment and what you're talking about, there were certain things that were alleged in the pleadings that she calls harassment, and that will be the subject of that matter. Was that reported?
Blake Lively stormed into the courtroom, confident she could defeat Justin Baldoni. But things didn't go her way. The judge refused to give her what she wanted and shut down her extreme demands. For over 2 years, she had been trying to get Baldoni's private records, texts, emails, location data, and even details about his doctor visits.
Can you say with certainty that your client did not harass her?
I can say that with certainty that my client is one of the most honorable people I've ever met.
She must have thought she could demand whatever she wanted. Her plan was to dig through every part of Baldoni's life, searching for anything she could use against him. But the judge shut her down, refusing to let the courtroom become her personal investigation center. Her entire plan fell apart, leaving her embarrassed and frustrated. What happened next was a complete meltdown. Blake Lively had walked in confident, ready to destroy Baldoni, but things didn't go as she expected.
Whether she felt harassed or not is one thing, but does it rise to the legal definition of harassment? And the answer to that is no.
She thought her celebrity friends and sense of control would guarantee her a win, but that illusion shattered the moment the judge spoke. The judge found her demands too broad and invasive. It wasn't fair or reasonable to ask for years of personal data that didn't even match the lawsuit's timeline. She had sued Baldoni in December 2024, yet she was trying to dig up his records from as far back as 2022.
And again, this is a point he's made before, and it hasn't really changed. He says no harassment, but he also says their issue is going to be more, can they prove that there was a smear campaign?
She must have thought no one would question her over-the-top demands. But as soon as the judge shut her down, witnesses say panic flashed across her face. She was completely caught off guard when the judge called her claims excessive. Her eyes darted around, as if looking for a way out. People in the courtroom said she started whispering angrily to her lawyers, but there was nothing they could do.
14, 15 hours to respond. And that may not seem like a lot, but in media, that's not bad.
The courtroom meltdown was loud, public, and humiliating. Anyone watching could see how powerless Blake Lively had become. No matter how famous she was, the law wasn't going to bend to her wishes. While she was losing control, Justin Baldoni stood firm, watching her entire plan crumble before his eyes.
I will give you that. That is a shady move. If you're working on a story for months, and you're giving somebody notice on a Friday night, that's a pretty shady move. Doesn't make it defamation, but it does make it a little sketchy.
He didn't need wild demands or shady tricks. The truth was enough for him. Meanwhile, Blake's efforts to twist the story had completely fallen apart. Her Hollywood status couldn't protect her from the facts in that courtroom. People finally saw her for what she was. Someone willing to do anything to get her way, even if it meant invading private texts, calls, and personal records.
Let me ask you this. If you're in search for the truth, are you worried about someone scooping the story? I mean, this is not a story anybody's going to scoop.
Well, you never met a journalist. They're all afraid of
They
getting...
probably thought they could make that audio disappear by using their connections or calling in favors. But it didn't matter how many powerful Hollywood friends they had behind the scenes. The tape still made it into court. And the moment it was played, Blake Lively's credibility crumbled. The perfect image she had tried to create for herself was destroyed in an instant.
You mean you covered this for 5 months, and then on a Friday night, you reached out to Justin Baldoni for comment, and by the time he got back to you, you already published it? Shady.
She was powerless to stop it. Once that audio played, there was no undoing the damage. Her credibility fell apart faster and faster. Even Ryan Reynolds wanted no part of this disaster. He was nowhere to be seen in the courtroom. It's as if he saw this meltdown coming long before it happened. With things falling apart so badly, it's no surprise he chose to stay away. In the end, Blake Lively's humiliation was absolute.
Now, as we can recall, Steph Jones worked for Wayfair and Justin Baldoni. They then parted ways with Steph Jones' company, and that's when Steph Jones...
She walked into that hearing like she was in control, ready to take down Justin Baldoni. But instead, she ended up trapped, with her entire case falling apart. This raises a big question. What kind of person tries to use Hollywood power to ruin someone's career? Only someone truly ruthless. It proves Blake Lively wasn't some helpless victim. She was ready to go after Baldoni with everything she had. But once that recording was revealed, it became a full-blown scandal. One too big for fame or fancy PR to hide.
She seems like the wild card here. Do you believe Steph Jones? And just full disclosure, I've had my run-ins with her over the years. I believe she has tried to smear me in different outlets. She has a reputation as a publicist. Not a great person.
It made her entire legal case seem empty. If she wanted people to believe she was only seeking justice, this new evidence destroyed that idea. Instead, it exposed her as the mastermind behind Baldwin's troubles. Someone who worked behind the scenes to get him blacklisted. Blake Lively desperately tried to keep this audio hidden. She and Ryan Reynolds even tried to claim it didn't exist or was leaked unfairly. But once it made it to the courtroom, there was no more hiding. It was too late.
I just think that the potential for the circus and the damage to both sides here will ultimately win out, and you guys will settle. So if that's the case, then why not just settle now?
You can bet she hated every second of it. Her meltdown only got worse as she realized she could no longer pretend to be innocent. The audio exposed a powerful industry figure admitting that he blacklisted Baldoni because of Blake and Ryan. No wonder the judge refused to entertain her outrageous demands for more of Baldoni's personal data. She had already proven she was willing to twist anything to make him look bad. Even Ryan Reynolds, usually quick with jokes on social media, stayed completely silent.
In this day and age, the only way that you can truly get back and is to prove your innocence.
Where were his jokes now? Where was his usual playful banter? Nowhere, because Ryan Reynolds likely didn't want to ruin his own image by standing behind his wife's meltdown. Behind closed doors, he was probably furious, not just about the damage she was doing to herself but also to him and their brand. But in public, he stayed silent, letting Blake deal with the mess she created. As for her lawyers, they must have known they were in serious trouble the moment the judge started questioning her outrageous demands.
It's not be found guilty. It's to prove your innocence. And that's what we're actively working to.
They must have realized how bad this would look, not just to the public but to the entire legal community. Why did we even take this case? They might have wondered. How are we supposed to defend these ridiculous demands? After all, asking for texts from over 2 years before the lawsuit even began was far from normal. Trying to dig into phone records, medical history, and location data made it clear. Blake Lively was desperate to find anything she could use against Baldoni. And that's exactly how she ended up looking. Desperate.
So there he says, it may only be done in a courtroom. Now, if you're Brian Friedman, there's no way you're going to show your cards if you would settle for a certain price. So he's saying, we're taking this thing all the way, baby. And that's how you play chicken. That's how you play. He goes straight for the jugular, right?
She tried to spin the outcome, claiming she somehow won just because the judge allowed a small part of her request. But that's a typical Hollywood move. Take a major loss and dress it up as a victory, hoping the public won't notice. This time people did notice. A meltdown this massive can't just be covered up with flashy PR.
It just, given what we're looking at and what's happening and the backlash and everything else, I can't imagine Blake's celebrity friends are happy that it's gotten to this point.
Everyone saw her walk into court full of confidence, only to be shut down right in front of everyone. Now, with the next hearing set to have a live audio feed, things could get even worse for her. Every word, every hesitation, every attempt to twist the truth will be broadcast for the world to hear. She pushed hard for a strict protective order to keep it all hidden, but that plan failed. Now, the entire case is out in the open, and there's no running from it.